Why, hello. So this is what we call massive technical difficulties. We did not think this through. Myself, Tommy, and Alex just got done watching Ant-Man and the Wasp.
That we did.
Yes. And we could not find a place to adequately record the video. So we're all crammed in the back of a car. So guys, what do you think?
It was a good movie.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. It was quite enjoyable. I think this was one of those sequels that was probably better than the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would say so. I'm just going to put my stylus away.
The first one definitely had the feel for the character and anyone that might have not known who Ant-Man is. And this one felt like it was a real action film, action comedy.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was actually wondering if they were going to get Edgar Wright to write, on this one. I mean, they obviously didn't need it. I mean, they picked up where the other movie left off wonderfully. Yeah? Say something, Tommy. What do you think?
Yes. It was a good movie.
Intelligent commentary. Come on. Snap to it, buddy.
I do think the villain was better in this movie than the last one.
Yeah.
Marvel kind of has copy-paste the hero and turn it into a villain problem, and this movie didn't have that problem.
Well, they keep killing their villains off, and I was listening to an interview with the Ant-Man director, Peyton Reed, from the previous Ant-Man, and he was talking about, of course, he was on this one too. He was talking about how, like, yes, that is true, but you also need stakes. Like, people can't. It's like if the villains all live, then where's somebody has to die, And it's an interesting point. Like, if the villains all survive to come back another day, we'd be upset because there's no stakes. Oh look, revolving door. It's just I don't think it's a big deal.
I feel like in this movie, since we're not doing the spoiler part yet, this was an individual that had motivation to basically be an antagonist.
She was desperate. Yes.
And it was It was a desperate act of if you go see this movie, you'll understand. And it's the motivation that actually makes it feel
closer,
like.
Alex.
Yeah, get real close.
Just a little closer to Tommy if you can. You're on the edge of the frick. Keep going.
Yeah.
You're good.
Derailed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this really felt like there was motivation. There was actually a reason why all the characters were doing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like from the former S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that are now FBI, the individuals that Hank Pym, it's like what he's doing.
Yeah.
His motivation is very clear in what he wants to do. And also all the characters have a real reason. It's not like, okay, they're just here to, fulfill a stereotype, a archetype, a kind of marketing.
Like that Hank Pym was not presented as this perfect individual.
And that almost kind of goes back into some of the comics with the way that character has been portrayed.
Yeah.
But granted, I think it's a better version than some of the original comics.
Well, it kind of gets into the idea that, without proper shielding, the Pym particles drive you insane. And, how would one discover that? They must have, had a thing. Oh, by the way, something else that was interesting came back to the villain problem thing. In the same interview, so Peyton Reed pointed out something fun, which is that he says that you never actually saw Yellow Jacket die. You just saw the suit shrink. But if he went subatomic, he could be in the quantum realm too. And if he came back, he could be a return villain.
Right.
Yeah. That would be fun.
That could happen.
Yeah. So, that's directly from the source. Anyways, I love this movie, man. This was just a fun ride from start to finish. And, just even though you saw a bunch in the trailers, well, I did. I don't know about you, Alex, because you don't like trailers. But, there's I didn't really feel like anything got ruined. It was more like, when's that scene going to come up? It was just, what a fun ride. And then a lot of callbacks to the original, like the parts where they have Michael Pena do that whole, hey, I'm Louise, I'm going to talk for everybody bit. you know, and you know,
Yeah.
like the callbacks to the like everything you loved was there again, pretty seamless, and it was just just a really well executed movie.
One of the things I really liked is that it felt like the events from, speaking of what you were saying, I think it really handled, like, the events from the first film and from Civil War. Like, it really handled those events realistically for the, like,
The characters.
events of the second movie.
There were real stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there
it felt like consequences from actions.
were. Yeah.
And there's a lot of times where other properties, other movies, fall short of, you know,
Well, that's-
getting plot holes. And this actually felt like, you know, these events that previously happened had its consequences, and all the characters are paying for, like, what happened in the, not just Ant-Man, the first movie, but like you said, Tommy, Civil War.
well,
it's like,
That's what I like about one thing I like about the MCU versus the comics, because the MCU has stakes, real consequences, right? And
it actually does feel like they're actually put together.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that is kind of a thing that I've noticed with, like, especially doing reviews with you, Woody, of, like, these comics that we do with Doc.
Yeah.
With Bros and Dragons and Miniature Dragons. Is like, a lot of these comics feel like, okay, this universe must be the universe where... you know, Captain America is Hydra.
Yes.
And in this universe, this is what the X-Men are dealing with. And in this other parallel universe, some other event is going on. But, you know, they might actually be connected, but, you know, it doesn't really feel like it's written together, like it's actually connected.
That's kind of the way it's been with Batman lately, where it's
it's almost like different
this,
parts of the multiverse for DC.
This is Scott Snyder's story, and he he intended Batman to die at the end of it, but of course he can't because, you know, they got... Anyways, but...
Because he's Batman.
Right. And the comics have kind of lost that threat, you know, that the stakes. You know, I mean, they can be a fun read and really well executed and be like, well, now that was a damn good comic book. Because, like, the first issue of the new Ant-Man and Wasp comic, that was good stuff. But, you know, it's still the PG-13 bullshit, you know. So, okay, well, we're at 7 minutes. So let's just say this is gonna. But how about we put a call into our spoiler-free review? So I'm gonna give this a thumb up. Tommy,
I also give it a thumb up.
Alex,
I say it's
a metaphysical thumb up.
It's it's very much a them type movie.
Yeah. No. So I think we all agree this is a fan-freaking-tastic movie. Go see it. Jesus Christ! Why are you watching this video? Okay, so. Here's your spoiler warning. Imagine that we have a big graphic that flashes across the screen with high production value, and we really got our shit together.
So no.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been warned. Click off now.
Go watch the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Now that you watch the movie,
right.
Click
okay.
back on.
So, damn, like everybody died at the end of the movie, guys. Holy shit. I mean, like, what are they gonna do without Scott Lang?
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing, and that was.
I'm kidding, of course.
But I mean, there is a part where characters do die in this.
Yeah, the after credit scene.
I think it was a really good tie-in because it's like I was really waiting for the connection to Infinity War.
We pretty much knew that was going to happen, but I didn't expect
was going to be
all three of them.
Yeah. That was a bit extreme.
Oh, so the after credit scene ties in with Infinity War. Because there was a belief like that Scott was going to survive because he was, in the quantum realm.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course that's what they did. Good call, whoever called that one. But I didn't. Well, it's interesting because like Evangeline Lilly said that she's only got 1 or 2 scenes, like a very small part in Infinity War, Part 2, and this explains it. It's the part where she comes back, where they all come back. But damn man, like they freaking nailed him and Janet. That's like kind of beating the odds, don't you think? That a whole family. It's like I know half the universe, but you think he'd distribute it kind of evenly.
Bump the hates Thanos. I don't think he cares.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the villain, right? Ghost. That was an interesting character.
And once again, I feel that she was more of an antagonist than a villain.
Yeah.
Because she had that kind of level of her motivation of she was going to basically dissolve.
Well, it's also interesting that so you had the situation where so you've
Real
got
21st century here.
I know, right? Well, if we turn the car on, it's going to get noisy. So so we had Hank Pym was a member of S.H.I.E.L.D., which we knew from the first movie, and then didn't they say that they thought one guy was a traitor or something? I kind of missed what the rationale was, but like apparently Hank got one of that Ghost's father dismissed and discredited.
Disagreement. During part of the disagreement, he not only got him fired, but discredited him as a scientist.
Yeah, but there was something about, they said some comment about him being a traitor, kind of like what happened with Iron Man 2.
Okay, I must have missed that too.
We're going to have to, well, I wasn't, well, the problem is the line was said so quickly that it was hard. If I'd been at home watching a DVD, I would have rewound it.
Right.
But regardless, there was a falling out, and the guy got in trouble, right? And then that's the funny thing is, he goes off, and he's going to go do the experiment with the quantum tunneling device, and then basically fucks up his daughter, right? And
well, that's a byproduct that happens due to the fact of like probably not the right type of funding, not the right type of equipment, and
a bit building it out of garbage from McDonald's. Well, the thing is that was interesting is all these people are blaming Hank, right? And
yeah, I kind of saw a running theme of that. And
but I can't see how any of this is actually his fault. Like, it's not his fault that this guy built the machine knowing how dangerous it was and knowing that he didn't help
that Hank fired him and basically, as a scientist, discrediting him and basically saying, like, probably to the scientific community, he wasn't able to probably get any work. That's what I kind of gathered out of it.
Well,
that it's like, I'm going to try to redeem myself, and the only way to do is to go to South America and do something that is probably kind of illegal or very experimental, and try to make a machine that needs like the funding of like a major organization or a government.
Like, I don't know, Hydra. Well, the thing is,
Hydra.
It's interesting because like he's messing with technology which he didn't invent. He was helping with a project that somebody else originated, right? And he's going to go mess with Hank Pym's technology and probably doesn't understand it very well.
Yeah.
But you think that Hydra would have wanted to get in on that action. Well, they were probably busy with other stuff.
Well, I guess they had their heads elsewhere.
Yeah. By the way, kind of funny thing. I think I showed Alex's picture, but at the gas station next to my the house, the one by the freeway, they have a Hydra station, not a hydro station. They have a Hydra station where you get liquids. It's like Hail Hydra. Somebody did not plan that one through. That shit's great. Mm-hmm. The ants, man. Those ants were okay, so Hank had ants. Okay, he has a lab, right? And that scene we've seen in the trailer. Well, some of us have seen where they shrink the building and then lift up the handle and walk off with it, which is actually kind of funny because the mass, like that thing would be so freaking heavy. Like they don't really get into the mass displacement aspect of it, but wow, there's a yawn. But the thing is like he's got ants in that thing which are running around and they're programmed to be assistants and to conduct high tech work. Like he's building everything with ant labor. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the thing must have the most amazing plumbing system. Like it's not connected to anything, and the foundation must be awesome.
Oh yeah, that was a thing that came up in my mind at the end of the movie was so when finally Hank gets his wife and they're able to get away and live on this beach.
He's got a house.
They have this house that they go from miniaturized to full size, and it's like, wow, where's the foundation? Where's the plumbing?
Right.
Where's the the electrical? Is it a self-contained unit?
Is that the same house he was living in the first movie? I wasn't sure.
I don't actually recall. It almost seems that Victorian style.
Yeah, it's like basically like a townhome. So.
Very interesting observations that are clearly connected to the plot and story.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, but this is called nitpicking.
Yeah.
Well, one part that I really liked was them,
Mm-hmm.
and making mention to that of like, so towards the end, oh, what was it? It was,
We should do like a secret organization called Them, and it's an acronym for something.
nah, Jeff would be perfect on that.
Yeah, it would.
So there's an old 50s movie known as Them, where it's
Oh, yeah.
giant radioactive ants. And I thought it was kind of cute that they had that playing within the movie itself. And
Yeah.
also, they
I
made
understand
that
what that
mention
is.
like one time else in the movie
Mm-hmm.
of,
And-
oh, it's them.
And his daughter loves the movie because it's like real to her.
Yeah.
And I like how they shrunk down all the cars, because Hank's got a dozen cars the size of Hot Wheels cars, and it's a little Hot Wheels case, and they've all got shrinking technology built in.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
that must have been great for Hot Wheels.
Oh yeah, and
Like,
then
what a great promotion.
they've got them in front of. Why am I yawning? They've got them in front of.
It must be there.
I know, in front of a laptop, and they got like a drive-in. And that's something actually I was wondering about. So, what they proposed in the first film was that Hank can't use the suit anymore, because the strain of going up and down all the time, right, shrinking and stuff. Because apparently he never became Giant Man. I'm guessing, but like the shrinking and growing all the time took a physical toll on his body where he just can't survive it anymore. Because the amount of times that Scott has to shrink and grow, dozens of times a day, right? Hank, that effort would kill him. Plus he's 60, 70 years old. Like, obviously he's not physically up to it anymore.
Speaking of individuals of that age and older, Stan Lee's cameo.
Yes, it'll probably be the last
Was-
one we ever get out of him too.
Which, I mean, will be kind of a shame if that's the case. I mean, I've always thought it would be a great thing if there was a clause where, with, like how in Star Wars they've had actors that have passed and, basically being able to put them in. If they could do something like that with Stan Lee.
Well,
So that it just continues part of that, like, fact that he's been in almost every Marvel movie.
Alex is yet again hitting our stay on topic joke. So put a pin in that one. We'll get that in a sec. So in the first movie, he can't shrink anymore. He's not supposed to because it's too dangerous to his health. And yet he's the one that goes in the ship that goes into the quantum realm to get Janet. I mean, he really physically shouldn't. You can see that it's a strain on him. That it's like he's having a tough time handling it physically, right? But it's like, and I get it because they need the two superheroes outside to deal with the bad guys that are coming. But it's like, I mean, he can do it. I thought he wasn't supposed to, so I thought that was really interesting that they were going that again. Now the Stan Lee thing. So he was at the premiere of Infinity War,
Yeah.
and his health has been declining rapidly, since his wife passed away, and which that happens. But like at Infinity War, like he looked like a 90-year-old man. Like clearly, he was, he probably was falling asleep during the movie.
Yeah.
And the Stan Lee that we saw here, he's only there for a second, but that's not the same Stan Lee. So that's a rapid decline in a year, because he still looks good, in this movie. Or they had a hell of a makeup team, Like I don't think that he's going to be in another one of these movies, because like they had him in Deadpool 2, but it was like a picture, like he was on like a picture or something. He wasn't actually in the movie,
Right, and a good number of individuals missed the cameo. Actually, for like myself, it was the second time that I viewed Deadpool 2 that I actually saw him on the billboard.
Yeah, he was on the billboard where Invisible Man died, right?
I'm not sure.
Because it was during the X-Force scene. Well, that's the thing is, like, around the time X-Force or Deadpool 2 was being made, I think that's when his wife was sick. So that would be why he wasn't there. But it's like, I think this might be the last Stan Lee cameo we get. I mean,
Could be.
yeah, I mean, he's probably not. Well, you know what, though? It's a miracle we've had him this long. So, let's be happy. I mean, Tommy almost met him one time.
Yeah.
You know what? I would have yanked you around to do it, except that there was no time to get it ready. Because I'm sure I told the story before, but we were at you weren't with us that day. It was when we were with Harrison and Amanda at Emerald City, and Amanda wanted really bad to meet the guy Sir Loras from Game of Thrones, and it was the year before you guys were going to meet the dude from Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And we're standing there, and as soon as we get to his lane at the Artist Alley section, that's when they leave to take a break. So we're like, okay, let's just hang out. We took off, came back. They're not back yet, so we're hanging out waiting, and everybody's just kind of just chilling. And I'm just standing there looking around because I have no interest in this, and because I wasn't watching the show at the time. And I look over, and actually over in the back we hear somebody here yells, "And Stan Lee's coming!" And there's this cheer, and of course there's a line a mile long to meet the guy, right? And I looked to my right, and here he comes with this entourage. And it's like, what, 3 years ago or something? And he's just walking, and I just, like, I would have dragged you. I wish I could have.
Yeah.
But there was just, like, the amount of time it would taken to get you ready.
Yeah.
It's like, I had seconds. So I just turn around and then pretend like I don't see him, just immediately go, "Oh, hello, Mr. Lee." And I put my hand out, and he shook my hand.
Yeah.
And did you actually get to see him?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that you had that. So, yeah, so it's like, and he didn't have to shake my hand. I thought it was rather decent of him because I bum rushed him on his way to his signing. I mean, I got a free handshake out of the guy,
Yeah.
That's something.
Talk about stay on topic.
Right, I know. So I kind of thought the Wasp was going to be in the movie more. I mean, like, this is about, like, what you would have expected, but they had a few scenes with her, where they made her younger. I thought the parts where they made Hank look young looked better in the previous one. Like, because they didn't look at him too close, because I think it wouldn't handle the scrutiny too well. But, like, the one time you got a good look at him, his face looked too smooth, I thought. But, like, Janet, I would have thought there would be more scenes with her. I imagine that she'll be in the third one. It's more of a thing. But they're going to have to, like, because, like, she was saying, like, being in the quantum realm, she kind of changed and evolved. And I know that there was, one of the discussions I'd heard was, like, how can a person live down there without food or air? And apparently, at that scale, the body would just stop functioning.
Well, it's like one of the things that I was actually thinking was going to happen, which I was kind of surprised, was time still went normally.
Yeah.
Because I was actually thinking that perspective-wise, when you're at that level, that time wouldn't work the normal way.
It's like she might not age.
Right, or, I mean, even like the timer might have actually slowed down.
Well, that was well, she couldn't stay young, right? But that was another interesting point, is you look at it, and she's not wearing the same outfit she went down in. She's got a mask which is made from her old mask, but she's wearing completely different clothes. And she's got a weapon.
Well,
where the hell did this shit come from, and what has she been doing down there?
Well, the big thing is, it's like, the connection with the various comics, it's that kind of microverse and various things of that nature, and that smaller realm. There have been various stories where there's civilization, there's worlds, there's kind of a dimension onto itself.
Yeah, but that was licensed from Hasbro, the Microverse. Like, I mean, Marvel has a Microverse that still, but the original Microverse is like Hasbro's thing. So, like,
but I mean, it's like there could have easily been more to that realm than what we viewed. I mean, it was enough that it's like she was making mention of, like, this area and that area, don't go here. And also, one of the things that I could say is, like, there was a lot of the stuff that was done visually that reminded me of Doctor Strange's movie.
Yeah, I know. Did you catch that, Tommy?
Like how
now that I think of it,
kind of almost like that glass realm.
Oh, what'd you guys think of the tardigrades?
Oh,
those things are fucking horrific. Sorry to swear, but oh my god, those are so.
The water bears,
the stuff of nightmares. Like, I can't.
Oh, come on, the water bears were cute except for their mouths.
What do you think?
Apparently, they can survive nuclear radiation.
Right,
so
in the vacuum of space. Oh my god.
They're completely useless against everything else, but
Yeah.
they can survive in the vacuum of space, so that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. God, what was I about to say?
I was less horrified.
We keep having like three topics at once, and I want to get back to one, and I kind of spaced on it. But
talking about the
Oh, right.
The
Okay.
quantum realm.
Right.
And also
So
the small.
okay, now there's another thing too. Now in the after credits, she's like going, okay, she's been down there, so she knows all this stuff, right? So okay, watch out for the time vortexes. That's what she said, right? Time vortex.
Yeah.
Okay, because one of the theories is that because I was explaining after the movie to Tommy about a little bit about how quantum physics works, just a little, like very basic, but kind of because they actually had a scientific advisor on the movie, and there was like aspects of how the ghost character was portrayed that like matches, like they didn't it's kind of like
Now,
the classic thing where
Did
like
you actually catch the part where when she phased through the doors, she actually pushed them open?
I'm not
So
sure.
when she went through the doors,
Mm-hmm.
she actually was walking. You could actually see for a brief moment where she puts both hands out
because
like
there's
she's opening it.
because
And-
there's a timeline where she opened it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because
And I started noticing things like that where it's
Yeah.
like she started moving in particular ways, like it was moving, especially because they had that kind of quantum state where she was in multiple places at the same time.
right, and I like that they showed it because
Yes.
because it wasn't just she's catching up with herself like they do sometimes in time travel, but it's like she's literally it almost looks like multiple timelines simultaneously, where she's in different positions that aren't actually. I mean, it had to be a nightmare to film that because they basically take 5 takes, and merge them. But it's like I was explaining to Tommy how there's a phenomenon of quantum particles where they, in theory, could be everywhere in the universe simultaneously until they arrive at their final condition, right? And end up at whatever they're going to be in the end, right? Whatever we observe. And they were representing that in a very physical sense. But it's kind of like how there was another movie, I don't remember what it was, where the explanation for what was going on was complete BS. And what was actually happening
What?
would have been easier to explain. And in this case, they just said, "Oh well, I'm intangible." Like, no, you're not intangible. You're both behind the door and in front of the door simultaneously, and you pass through by picking the timeline where you're in front of the door, and that's actually what's happening. But it's like they don't explain. Well, I mean, they give a simpler, stupider explanation, but it's just. But it's interesting because if you actually understand the phenomenon, it's like, oh, that's neat. They're doing it.
Yeah. It's still super science, though.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Nothing
no,
but super
totally.
science.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like on the Flash where every week they make a device that could be somebody's entire life's work.
Yeah.
I think I'll make this week. When he was much younger, I had to explain to him what super science was. So we were watching the Flash. Oh my God, that show got so stupid. Anyways,
The 4th season's good. Not to get off topic, but
well,
It's okay. We have a running thing
yeah,
of that.
Stay on topic. They lost me at season 3. But okay, so anyways, so we got quantum tunnel. They were doing quantum tunneling, so they created a portal into the Microverse, and there was apparently somewhere in between that point on the way back, there's a portal through time, or a layer where you can shift through time. Because that's the other thing is that the theory being that a quantum particle also could exist at multiple points in time simultaneously too. That part probably isn't true. But the thing is that there's a belief that in the after credit scene we know that Scott misses the dusting from Infinity War, right? So he's temporarily trapped in the quantum realm, and obviously he'll be able to get out the same way he got in, as long as he's got all of his gear, right? Yeah. He's not going to be stuck down there. But what's interesting is that the theory that I've been hearing is that the quantum realm is going to be used to perform time travel, and what's believed is that the way they're going to defeat Thanos is that they're going to travel back in time, and Tony Stark is going to build another Infinity Gauntlet, and they're going to pull Infinity Gems from alternate timelines.
oh,
Well, that's interesting because, like, one of the things that has been made mention in other Marvel canon is that the Infinity Stones only work for whatever universe that you're a part of.
But
So,
parallel
like-
timeline is different.
Well, I mean, is it or is it not? Because, I mean, there is that kind of level of 616, which
Yeah.
is most of the time considered the main Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Infinity Gauntlet that would be in that one wouldn't necessarily work in one of the others, like say the Zombie Marvels or
that is true.
Howard the Duck's version of
they established that in the new Secret Wars. But what they have is that they have a scene that was filmed for Infinity War Part 2 where it shows scenes from the Battle of New York. Captain America's in his old costume back then, and Tony Stark is running around with some doohickey that he didn't have back then, right? So the idea is that they know where the different things are going to be, right? And except for the Soul Stone, which would be a little trickier, but the idea is that they can go back in time and snag them from the other points where they were at. Like they would get the Tesseract from the Battle of New York, right? So Loki is still stopped, but they get the Tesseract before it gets lost, right? And then they go back and they grab the Mind Stone, before the Vision is created, and blah blah blah, and all these things, and then they're gonna build an Infinity Gauntlet, which I think is gonna be on the Hulk, but Thanos, right? Because doing all this would change the present. But Thanos, with his Infinity Gauntlet, would detect the change occurring and could stop it from happening. Because doing that would basically have stopped Thanos altogether and prevent the universe from ever going to shit. But then he can stop it because he has his Infinity Gauntlet. But he can't stop their Infinity Gauntlet. So suddenly there's two.
Yeah.
Right? And probably both drawing from the same source of power. So you're going to have like Gauntlet versus Gauntlet. But
so this is a running theory idea.
I think it's exactly what's going to happen. But to explain why Tony Stark had to live, because the belief is that when Doctor Strange looked at all the timelines, there's only one where they won. And that's the one where Tony Stark survived, which is why he's like, no, keep him alive. Like kill me, but keep the genius.
Yeah, that
kind of thing
makes sense.
Yeah, so I'd put some money on that one right now. I mean, except that Tommy doesn't have a job, so he can't really, But I mean, I'd put $5 on that one, and if I'm wrong, I'll give Alex $5. But if Alex wants to take the bet, but you'd have to have another theory. You'd have to have a competing theory. And it's not my theory. It's just I've been listening, but I think that's what's going to occur.
I definitely think it's possible, although this is turning into Infinity War theories instead of
but the idea is the Ant-Man is going to be in the next one. He's on the movie poster, like the team poster, as an Avenger, and it's like this movie is basically setting up the next Avengers.
And that is 2019.
It's next year.
Yeah,
they've already filmed it. They're just doing post right now.
So it's Infinity War Part 2, whatever the title is actually going to be.
And
then what is the other Marvel that's coming out?
Before Infinity War, we're getting Captain Marvel, which is also, apparently her powers come from the quantum realm too somehow, there's something to do with the quantum realm. So the idea is that those two movies dealing with the quantum realm are going to set up the events in the next one. So we're going to see her origin story in the next movie in a few months, and then she'll come back to Earth in Infinity War Part 2, which, of course, we see from the beeper, at the end, and then she'll have the correct colors in her costume.
Yeah. Because
apparently her costume is more of a traditional Kree green in the next one, but it's dealing with Skrulls.
Skrulls, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was going to be part of like
Marvel.
Oh yeah,
has the rights to Skrulls because the Skrulls
because of the X-Men and Fantastic.
Well, the Skrulls were a Fantastic Four thing, but they also were apparently tied in with some of the other properties because the rights were handed out. Based upon if a particular alien race or something had been a major antagonist within the lore of a particular comic line, then they got to be the rights also went there. So Marvel has the rights to the Skrulls, they just don't have the Super Skrull. Right? And they don't and they don't have the Skrull that Johnny Storm had a relationship with, and those specific characters, they don't have specific characters, but they do have the species and the culture. So what I'm really hoping for is that Phase 4 is Secret Invasion.
And that might be one of the reasons why they haven't said the title.
Well, for Phase 4, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Phase 4 is probably going to change because once the deal gets finished,
Yeah, that's going to add in a lot more capability.
it'll be 4, with a circle, But yeah, I'm really hoping that they'll do all these plot lines eventually. But I hope that if they're bringing Skrulls in, I think what we're seeing is we're seeing a kind of a preview of what's to come. Like, why would they put Skrulls in unless they plan to really use them? I think we're getting Secret Invasion. That's what I think, and that would be cool because the MCU won't mess it up like the comics did. There should be slums on Earth full of Skrulls. Where are the slums? Oh my! We defeated a Skrull invasion. Where's our spaceships? Why isn't the technology advancing?
Because it needs to be the status quo.
I know. We keep having the same discussion. Anyways, we've been about 35 minutes here, guys. So, any final thoughts?
Fantastic movie. Watch it.
Yeah. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Fantastic. Yeah, I did. Yeah, great. You took the words out of my mouth.
We barely touched on the comedy, but it's a very funny movie too.
Oh yeah. Well, we had talked about other interesting things. This is hardly. It's kind of funny. It's like we'd had the wonderful, really well thought out discussion about what's behind the movie. We never actually talked about the damn movie.
So really, spoiler light.
Yeah, very spoiler light.
1 calorie of spoil.
Oh, you know what else, by the way, I've heard is that in the next Infinity War, there's probably gonna be a time jump. Like Avengers 4, because apparently Cassie's supposed to be in that movie, the daughter, and she's older, like a teenager, old enough to actually be her superhero identity from the comics.
Oh, that's interesting.
She's going to be stature.
And I imagine that's going to be...
That's what they call her. She grows. Yeah.
So I'm wondering about like some of the other characters with... Because especially with Spider-Man Homecoming, that actually makes me kind of wonder if... what's his name? Miles
Morales?
Yeah, might actually step up and actually be the next Spider-Man.
Well, he's not, because the same guy, whatever his name is actually filming the movie. And it takes place minutes after, after Infinity War. So, no.
Okay.
Not for a while. Not until after Sony finally implodes under their own dead weight, and though I gotta admit the animated film looks pretty sweet.
It actually looks very interesting, and we did do a review on that, and it definitely felt the trailer, that is, and the trailer looks pretty good, and I think it could be something that's actually not like the rest of non-Marvel based movies, not a train wreck.
Yeah.
And dumpster fire and plane wreck.
Anyhow,
at the same time.
This car is very warm, and I think we should wrap up this review. I love this movie. Go see it. Hell, and do not be a loser like 3/4 of the people in the theater every time. There are 2 post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
The second one is hilarious. It's not like it ain't gonna ruin your day if you miss it, but it's pretty good.
But
stick around for it.
The first after credit one,
the mid credit scene,
that one definitely is worth it.
You have to see that. Yeah, totally. Any final thoughts, Tommy? You're like, nope.
I've said everything.
I'm done. I'm done talking.
Yes.
And
don't make me talk.
Wow.
End the video.
It's like snap.
God.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. Well,
thank you for viewing.
Yeah. So, sorry we had the wonderful lighting.
Yeah.
But
excellent quality.
We do what we get. Well, hey, I've seen really high production channels do the exact same thing where they just throw out their phone and they we're right outside the theater. We're gonna talk. Anyways, see you guys in the next one.